Hey everyone! Now, one of my friends on YouTube, his channel is Life of Peter, has asked me to make a tutorial for him on something that you wouldn't normally expect from some of my videos. I'm going to teach you how to do something like this, or this. That's called a muzzle flash. It's the flash that comes out of the end of a gun when you fire it. Freddie Wong uses it quite a lot, and he asked me, Fraz, could you make something like Freddie Wong does? So, I'm like, okay, I'll teach you how to do a muzzle flash. Now quickly before I start this tutorial, I would like to say that he asked me if I could achieve this effect in Final Cut Pro X. Now, you can, but there is one feature missing in Final Cut Pro X which won't make the muzzle flash look very realistic. However, this feature is present in Apple Motion and Adobe After Effects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do the muzzle flash without that added effect in Final Cut Pro X first, and then I'm going to take it into After Effects and show you how to make it look a bit more realistic. But anyway, back to the tutorial. So here we are in Final Cut Pro X, and to achieve the muzzle flash effect in this, we are going to need a clip right here of a prop gun shooting. This is just a cap gun that I have lying around the house. We're also going to need a muzzle flash image, which looks something like this, just a muzzle flash. Make sure it's on a black background, you'll see why in a minute. And also this sound effect that I found of a pistol shooting. Yeah, you can't really hear it very well when I'm scrolling over it like that, but never mind. We'll get to how it sounds in a minute. So, the first thing we need to do when we're creating this effect is we need to skip to the frame where the gun actually fires. As you can see right there, where the piston at the back hits the gun. So it's going to be right about here. Right there, we want to split it. So in Final Cut Pro, that's Command B. Then we want to skip forward one frame and hit Command B again. So we've got this clip right here, which is just one frame long. What we need to do then is we need to duplicate this thing. So we can just do Command C and Command V. That's made them one after the other, but I'll just drag it on top. You might be wondering, well, that's a bit pointless. Well, it's not, to be honest. What we're going to do with this top one is we are going to change its, let's see, it's in video. We are going to go down to compositing, and we're going to change the blend mode to add. And what that's going to do, hopefully, is that's going to make it a little bit brighter. And the reason that we're only doing this for one frame is because the muzzle flash is only one frame long as well. So when we bring in the muzzle flash right here, I want to make sure that it's just one frame long. So again, Command B, and then delete everything else. So the muzzle flash will appear on that frame and nowhere else. Now before we do anything with the muzzle flash, we want to make sure that we get rid of the black background. And to do that, we need to go back down to the blend mode in compositing and change it to screen, and that'll get rid of all the black, hopefully. Right there, so you can just see the muzzle flash. Now what we need to do is we need to reposition the muzzle flash so it looks like it is coming out of the gun. And in order to do that, we just need to go to the transform options, and you might want to bring up the transform controls on the screen just to make it a little bit easier. Make sure it's relatively big because, as you probably know by now, I can't imagine why you wouldn't. Muzzle flashes are pretty big, so you want to make sure it's reasonably large. And that right there looks just about okay. Right, done. So when we play this back, this should look like the gun is firing, and the muzzle flash will come out the gun, as you can see right there. In fact, maybe I want to reposition it a little bit further down. Let's see. That's better. Right, so now that we have our gun firing and our muzzle flare, the reason we change the blend mode of this one on top to add is just so that we'd get a little bit of a glare on all the objects in the background. Now, when you're doing this effect in Final Cut Pro X, because of that extra effect that that's missing, we don't actually need to make a duplicate of this base layer. But I did it anyway, plainly because we're going to be doing that when we take it into After Effects, and we do have that extra effect. And the last thing to do is to just drag in the pistol sound. I'm just going to, you can really hear it there, can't you? I'm just going to show the waveforms just so that we can see where it is. I'm going to turn it down quite a bit to about there. That looks good. And let's bring it right there. Put it back into place. And then this should look good. There we go. that is the completed muzzle flare effect in Final Cut Pro X. I hope you learnt from this, Peter. If you didn't, go back, rewatch the video. You know, I like getting more views. But now I'm going to show you how to do it in After Effects, which is where it'll look a little bit more professional. So when we're in After Effects, we want to drag down our base layer onto this button right here, which is the new composition. I also have my muzzle flash image and my pistol sound ready to go. So what we're going to need to do, as before, is we're going to need to duplicate this this layer. And we're going to trim the layer down to the part where the gun fires, as we did before. Just like that. Then we're going to add in our muzzle flash image, right about there, and we're going to change the blend mode of it to screen. Gets rid of all the black behind it. Then we need to move it into place, so we can just use the selection tool and the rotation tool to move it around to place. There we go, that looks good. We're also going to need to trim that down to just 1 frame long, which might take a while because this thing needs to be trimmed down quite a bit. Then what we need to do is we need to take the duplicated base layer and we need to set the blend mode to add, just like we did before. Now what that's going to do, as I said, it's going to create a glare. Now what we're going to need to do next to make it look a bit more realistic is we're going to need to do something called masking. And what masking is basically drawing out shapes on the sections of the video that you want, which then removes the sections that you don't want. So what we're going to need to do to mask this video out, or this frame out, is we're going to use the pen tool right here, and we are just going to draw some shapes along the areas that we that we want to have the glare on. So in that case, it's probably kind of this area of the gun, I'd say. As you can see right there, it's got the glare, and then I think this part of my hand as well, my finger where it's shooting, and then this right here. There we go, that looks good. I think probably my wardrobe in the background as well, in which case I'm going to go and just make an elliptical mask. There we go. I'm just going to position it round about there. Now what we're going to do, just to make it look a bit more believable, is we are going to bump up the feathering on these masks. So where it says mask feather right here, we are going to turn it up a bit so it looks like there's a bit of spill on the glare. I'm going to do that for each of these as well. You can press F to bring up the mask feather when you've got these things selected. All these ones that are relatively close to the gun, I'm going to bump up to this right here, 31 pixels. That looks just about okay. And then for the one in the background, which is way far back, I'm going to turn the feathering up even more. So now that we have done that, hopefully this effect should look quite nice. There we go. That looks like a believable glare, and I think it worked very well. So, as you would assume, the last thing to do is to grab your sound effect and drag it in to position. Unfortunately, I can't view the waveforms on After Effects, which is a bit annoying. Or can I? I think I can. Here's the waveform. Unimplemented function. You what? I have no idea what that's about. Anyway, here are the waveforms. That looks about in the right place. So let's play it back with the audio. There we are. That looks very nice. So I say that's successful. So to answer your question, Peter, you can do it in Final Cut Pro. It just won't look as good as if you do it in After Effects. So that's the end of the tutorial, Peter. I hope this helped you. Thanks very much for watching. Make sure you give this video a like, and leave a comment if you want another tutorial. And as always, subscribe if you feel the vibe. This is Phrasmotica saying goodbye.